Good morning, everyone. Heading to my spot for my recording, but I stopped to watch a deer grazing. It's just ran off into the woods and just standing there looking at me. I guess I will keep moving so that he will come back out, or she will come back out and graze. One of the advantages of being out in the woods. All right, I am busy during the day doing a bunch of stuff. With my son back, we're having to finish getting things he needs to stay with me. Go to the market. Got to go by the phone company today and see if we can switch his phone to a different provider. Because he's going back to Peru. He loves it there. And T-Mobile doesn't have a roaming charge. Yeah, I can hear the birds, but I thought I was hearing the deer. So I got to do this. Now he's not a morning person. He gets up late. So I can come out here. I've had a minor breakfast. I can come out here and record before he even gets up. Okay. Sitting back in my normal swing. I like it here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop this for a second while I set this thing down instead of making you jump around with me, and I'll be right back. Okay, all set up. Now I can sit here and talk with you and do my Bible study, because I've got my Bible next to me. Well, today the title is, Are You Tired? Now, most of us will find a time during the day that we can say that. It may not be all the time. Some people, it might be all the time. So we're going to talk about what the Bible says about it. But tired is a general modifier that can cover just about anything. You can be tired of work. You could be tired. I keep hearing noises. I got a picture of the deer at a distance, but I was trying to get a closer picture. But you can be tired of eating. You can be tired of sleeping. You can be tired of being tired. You can be tired of the world. We're all kind of tired of that. You can't get away from it, so you just got to trudge through it. I've talked about working and waiting. Tired of worrying. We have nothing to worry about, but sometimes we find things. We can be worried about our children. I think that's natural, but again, because, especially when they're adults, they're their own person now. You can't control them like you did when they were children. You just got to have faith. Now, I am tired every day. And to make sure that I'm properly tired, I reinforce it every day because I'm retired. Dum-dum. Sorry for the pun. It's morning and I've only had one cup of coffee. Okay, so we're going to look at some verses. Some of these should be familiar. And as with everything that I'm teaching, when I'm teaching, every issue that we've got, God has a solution. You just gotta trust in it. A lot of times we don't want to stop what we're doing, even though we are tired. You watch a little kid who's watching a TV show or something, and you just sit there and you're going, they fall asleep. Some of them could be sitting there, you got them up in their high chair and they're eating, and they fall asleep, hopefully not in their food, but sometimes yes. We just don't want to give up. That's why Psalm 23 says that God will make us lie down in green pastures. Because we don't like to do that. So let's turn to Isaiah 40:31. I marked it with the string. Okay. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Those who wait upon the Lord. Now, wait is one of those mixed words. There was a bug on the screen and I thought it was on me. All right. You can wait and be patient on the Lord, which I think this means, or you could serve the Lord, be a waiter, be waiting on the Lord. Frankly, it can be either way, but I think the first choice is the way this was written. This is coming out of Isaiah, who was knowledgeable of the future. He knew that all the things he was talking about were coming in the future. Now, he did talk about some stuff that's already happened, but he talked about the future. He was going to have to wait to see that stuff. I think as a prophet, especially an Old Testament prophet, would have been one of the hardest jobs to have. To tell people about stuff that's hundreds of years in the future. Maybe thousands of years. A couple anyway. It's, bad enough when you're telling people about today. You're saying that if you don't stop doing this today, it's going to lead to destruction. But they can see that kind of stuff. How do you tell somebody when it's way in the future, this is where we're going? Long after they're dead. Even if they live to be a long, long life, it's still way in the future. That's got to be difficult. Daniel, in his prophecies, he was told till the end to shut up the book. It's not time yet. These guys were good servants, and they probably got tired of talking about some of this stuff. It's like, they don't listen to me. I know Moses got tired of dealing with the Israelites. He told God so. But he completed all of his work. Okay, we're going to turn now to Matthew 11:28. This is red letters, so this is Jesus speaking. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Like I said in the Psalms, he makes us rest. Well, Jesus is saying, come to me and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. We all need that from time to time. We can just keep burning along and eventually burn out if we don't take some time to rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Again, directly from Jesus. Take on his yoke. Let's go to Galatians 6:9. And I am going to actually go back and start at the beginning of the thought in verse 6. Let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. Let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. Support the ministries. Help people that are doing good. And it doesn't have to be someone who's preaching. It could be, anybody. Someone who greets you at the door. Challenge you to be more friendly and courteous than they are. Do not be deceived, God. That is so much in the Bible, because that's comes from the father of lies, where he is constantly deceiving us. So God says, don't be deceived. Again, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. You are what you eat, however you want to phrase these things. Whatever you do, you're going to get back. You sow confusion, you're going to be confused. You sow peace and joy, then you will have peace and joy. It's one of the things that I was watching some news story, and they were talking about, the advancement in video games, how they've gotten so much better and better and better. They seem to be exceeding the norm. The world's going up at this pace, but video games are going up at this pace. I'm thinking, why would that be? It's a trap. It's a trap from Satan to get these kids tied into these video games. And so, of course, they're going to be better. They're going to get more and more realistic. And if you put on the VR glasses, you can think that you're right there immersed in it. Now, I played video games, and I still do somewhat play video games. Nothing like what I'm talking about now. I may play video card games I've got on my phone and on my laptop, I've got Solitaire, Pinochle, and some other little simple games, but nothing. But if you're playing a game where all you're doing all day long on the game, and these kids play all day long, you're going around and you're shooting the bad guys. Okay, well, they're labeled as bad guys. You're programming your mind to look for bad guys and to shoot them. You look in the world today, and there are people showing up at a mall to just shoot people with their guns. It's not the guns that are the problem. It's the minds that are the problem. They're being distorted. They're being trained in the wrong ways. Did you notice that all these games out there, they're called role-playing games, RPGs. They're taking on a character. Yes, it can be exciting to be a knight or a paladin, have some magic and be a knight. All these types of characters, to be a wizard, to be able to, Harry Potter it. It can be exciting to be these things, because our normal lives are not anywhere near as exciting as these. In most of these games, you can't be killed. Or you can be killed and you just, go back to a previous save, or you go back and get resurrected, you come back to life again and you keep playing your character. There's no penalty for failing, really. Maybe you got to restart and collect some gear back again, but you're advanced at this point, so it's easier to do. They've made the thing so that it's addicting. And these kids just don't get tired of it. They should. Okay, that was a rabbit hole, but it was something I wanted to say. Okay, where was I? I was in, he sows his flesh, with the flesh will reap corruption, but he who sows of the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. Okay, now the verse, in verse 9. And let us not grow weary doing good. Sometimes it's got to seem frustrating that you're talking to people all day long and they're just not listening. It's like, if you keep doing this, you're going to kill yourself, whether it's drinking or whatever it is. And they just don't seem to care. It just doesn't register. Okay, stop itching. I'm not going to sneeze. I can smell the flowers and the pollen in the air. Not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. I'm not going to sneeze. I'm not going to sneeze. Okay. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith, our fellow brethren. Now I'm going to turn to 2 Thessalonians. But as for you, brethren, this is at the final end, just before the benediction of his letter to the Thessalonians. But as for you, brethren, do not grow weary in doing good. And if anyone does not obey our word in this epistle, note that person and do not keep company with him. You want to be a positive person? Hang around other positive people. You want to be a doom and gloom person? Hang around doom and gloom people. Note that person and do not keep company with him, that he may be ashamed. Yet do not count him as an enemy, but admonish him as a brother. So don't hang out with people, even if they're Christians, a lot. But be sure to work with them. Understand that they're going through something different than you are, but they're still going through something. I think that marker was from a previous one. And then I now wanted to go to how did I mark this? James. I don't see the marker. Well, we're going to go to James 5:8. I got to go to 5, not 4. Okay. I'm going to actually start in 7. Therefore be patient, brethren, until the coming of the Lord. Like God, does that apply to us now? We have to be patient. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, waiting patiently for it until it receives the early and latter rain. You also be patient. Establish your heart, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. So I want to finish off with that verse. We have a lot of things to distract us and keep us busy. We have a lot of work that we can be doing at any time. It's hard too, knowing that people are dying every day. It's hard to focus on personal life sometimes. We have to do that. We have to take time for ourselves. We have to make sure we focus with God all times during the day. You just have to basically stop. If you watch a football game, in between each play, they get together and huddle. They're not in there sharing recipes. They're talking about, the play, and the players sometimes will get in there, depending on what's going on in the game, and they may say, throw me a pass, I can outrun this guy. So they may do that. It may or may not work. But if you don't believe something, you can't even try it. But they take time to discuss the next play, which is what we need to do at all times with God. Always be discussing with him. I talked to that person and it didn't work. Did I do something wrong? In most cases, you're going to find no. They're just not ready, but you've planted seeds. Or I talked to this person and they're so focused on their physical needs, whatever they may be, they can't see past that. How do you get to someone like that, God? We need to talk about their spiritual needs, and they don't want to talk about it. until their physical needs are dealt with. We're not walking around healing people. That was necessary during Jesus' time to draw attention to him. We don't need to have our attention diverted from doing what we're supposed to do, and we don't need the people watching us. They need to be looking to God. I've, throughout my life, wished that I could go up and just heal people. This weather. Trudge through it. We don't want to grow weary of doing good. The Bible says that he will give us rest. But we got to get right back in the game. We're not sitting on the sideline to just enjoy the game. If you want to do that, go sit in the stands. If you want to participate, you got to get out in the game. I don't know, I'm on a football team today. I played football in high school. Wasn't that good, but good enough to be on the team. I got junior varsity, but I got sick in my senior year and couldn't play. Yeah, might have had a career in it, and that was not the way God wanted me to go. I still didn't go the way God wanted me to go for a long time. I stayed on the edges. I knew I had to be part of his team, but I stayed on the edges. I didn't get in the middle. You accomplish more by being in the middle of things, not on the edges. Yeah, you're serving God, but you're not working with God, with his plan, which is better than anything you can come up with. You've got to get in the game. Whatever your earthly plans are, I'm not saying throw them away, but give them second billing over to what God would have you do. God may put you in your worldly plans because he needs you in a specific spot to help people. And maybe from that job, you can do that. But don't put your earthly plans ahead of God's at any time. Every day when you talk to God, I'm ready for you, I'm here to do whatever you want me to do. And then go to your work and do what you're going to do. Yep. See, nature understands. That bird just had a job to do. Just had to let us know he was listening and God was listening. We don't know what God's plan is. Everything. He created the universe. We're this, small compared to his daily task of keeping the universe going and having to deal with that bad guy. I'm looking forward to the time Satan gets thrown out of heaven because he shouldn't be there. We're going to jump with joy when we hear that. Now, we may be in heaven when that happens because that's going to kind of be that's the finishing part of Revelation 12. And if we're supposed to leave before the Antichrist, really, I think we might see him, but I don't know. I know we have seen him because he's out there walking around today doing things, and he's going to be an important person. Important enough that the world will know who he is. He will have clout. He will have connections. But nothing like he's going to get once Satan takes him over. But we don't want to be here. And we don't want our friends to be here, so get out there and get to work. Don't sit on the sideline. Participate, and they may pick you to go for a long run. Or, there are two ways to play football. Go for the Hail Mary, if you will, to go out there and try to catch one in the end zone. But sometimes there are the workers in the middle that we forget about. The running backs. You hand them the football and they just plow through the line. And every once in a while the line will do a good job and open up a gap and they'll run right through it. If you don't have a running game, you're not going to have a passing game. So you got to do a little bit of both to keep the enemy off guard. They don't know what to expect. It's all a game of trying to be clever and outsmart the opponent. I'm not saying enemy, I'm saying opponent. Sports are friendly competitions. They should not be hatred. If it's gone to hatred, you've gone too far. We like to challenge ourselves. That's why we get into sports. Sports have been around for a long time. The Greeks were doing sports. They have the amphitheaters and all the other stuff that they used to compete in. They would run. Now, they were into their bodies, so it was, important that they look good doing these things. Get out and be part of the game. Don't sit on the sidelines. And there are workers that are on the sidelines. The coach is over there. He's not out there running and carrying the ball, but without him, there wouldn't be a good game because he's prepared everybody. You can be a coach. You can be a water boy to get started. I never played hockey, but I was a stick boy, I guess you can call them. They break their stick over somebody's head, they're going to come back in, they want a replacement. They're going to go hit somebody else over the head. So you got to hand them their stick. You don't dare hand them somebody else's stick. They might break it over your head. Yeah, it's a violent game. I never played it. I got all my teeth. Every one of the players at that time had teeth they'd take out because they got hit in the face. A violent game. I guess the old joke is that you go to a hockey game, you go to the fights and a hockey game breaks out. That's the joke. But there are plenty of sports out there that are not violent. I tried track, but I was average and I didn't want to be average, so I tried to find sports that I could be better at. I snow skied and was pretty good at that. And I love to play tennis. I played tennis, but I didn't do it majorly competitively back then. I just loved to play. But we do things to challenge ourselves. If you need challenging, ask God. He'll give you stuff to challenge you. He's got a whole long list of things. It's like, I need somebody to do this. Any volunteers? Be the first to step up. I don't care if you know how to do it or not, it doesn't matter. You don't know how much God is looking for volunteers that don't know anything about it, because then they're willing to listen. If they know all about it, they're going to come up there. Just sit tight, God, I'll go take care of this. Doesn't work. Without God, you can't do anything. All right. Be a part of the game. Get in the game. There's not a whole lot of time. We've already had the 2-minute warning. Staying with the football theme. You look at the players out on the field, you wonder how come there's nobody else. There's nobody from the Middle East in that. Well, they're playing with a pigskin. Okay, last joke of the day. They don't get any better. Till we meet in the clouds, which is, I don't know how far we can go, but we're still here, so we can make it. We know where we're going. We just don't know when. We know Christmas is coming, but it's got a specific date, so as we get closer, we can get more and more excited. We don't know when the rapture is, but we should still get more and more excited every day. Every day it's one less day. That's all you can do. See you in the clouds. God bless. There he goes.